The man took a deep breath, then turned around and pushed his girlfriend down the 100-meter cliff. Before the woman could come to her senses, she was pierced by a stick. Seeing that the woman was dead, the man quickly returned home, lit a big fire, and threw all the woman's things into it. He thought that destroying the evidence would be foolproof and escape legal sanctions. But who would have thought that a few drops of blood suddenly dripped onto the ants under the cliff? They quickly climbed onto the woman's body, following the smell of blood, and kept biting her wounds. Perhaps it was the adrenaline that was stimulated. Under the care of the ants, the woman miraculously survived. Although it was impossible to see how serious the wound on her stomach was, she was still spitting blood from her mouth. The woman knew very well that her situation was very bad. If she continued like this, she would definitely die soon. So she began to look around, trying to find an opportunity to save herself. But after looking around, she realized that not only was the place surrounded by mountains, but she was also pinned high in the air by tree branches, and there was nothing around that could help her. Seeing such a desperate situation, the woman was completely desperate. Just as she was about to die, she suddenly saw a red lighter in her eyes. The woman instantly ignited the hope of survival, so she tried her best to grab it, but as soon as she exerted a little force, she felt a heart-wrenching pain in her abdomen. In order to survive, she could only endure the pain and stretch her hand as far as possible. With her continuous efforts, she finally grabbed the earphones. The wound was still bleeding, and she had no time to catch her breath. The woman quickly covered the lighter next to her with the earphones and moved it to a position where she could pick it up. Then, she piled all the hay around under the branches and lit it with the lighter. As the flames rose, the woman's wounds were burned more and more painful. Thinking that she could still survive in such a desperate situation, her desire to survive became more and more inflated. Half an hour later, her strong willpower forced her to hold on tightly. At this time, the branches finally began to become shaky under the destruction of the flames. Realizing that the branch was about to burn off, the woman began to struggle. Then she gritted her teeth and pushed hard. After escaping death, the woman breathed a sigh of relief. But at this moment, she suddenly heard the roar of a car coming quickly. It turned out that the three scumbags decided to come here to destroy the body in order to avoid more trouble. Without taking a breath, the woman hurriedly dragged her seriously injured body and desperately climbed inside. Fortunately, she hid in the visual area under the cliff before the three murderers found her. Seeing this incredible scene, the three murderers were all scared. They never dreamed that someone could survive in such a desperate situation. This situation has exceeded their cognitive scope. One of them was so scared that he wanted to call the police for help. Looking at the stupid teammate in front of him, the man was speechless in anger. He pinched the other's neck and told her with determination that today, she would see the person alive or dead. As he said that, he drove the car to chase after him. Hearing the conversation between the three people, the woman didn't care about the pain in her body and hurriedly left here with her serious injuries. When the three murderers arrived here, there was only blood on the ground. Realizing that the woman was seriously injured and could not walk far, they followed the bloodstains on the ground and chased her to the river, where the bloodstains disappeared. The three concluded that the woman was hiding nearby, so the murderer decided to split up to look for her. Little did they know that this was the most regretful decision they had made in their lives. At this time, the woman on the other side found a hidden cave nearby. She lit a big fire, picked up a can next to her, cut it open with a knife, and then tore off the iron sheet along the bottom and put it on the ground for use. Then, she opened her clothes and disinfected the tip of the knife with a lighter. At this time, the woman's eyes were firm and her face was very sexy. She must survive and make those three scumbags pay the price. After adjusting her state, the woman turned the knife around and aimed it at her abdomen, then endured the pain and cut a long new wound at the wound. She wanted to take out the branch stuck in her stomach, but it was obviously not enough, so she began to repeat the action over and over again until a cross-shaped wound was left on the wound. She then put down the knife and, before the branch could react, she quickly pulled her out of the belly. Unexpectedly, a pool of blood gushed out along with the branch. The woman was startled. If she continued like this, she would surely die from excessive blood loss, so she quickly put the iron sheet she had just torn off on the fire to roast it. When the iron sheet was red hot, she quickly spread it on the wound on her abdomen to stop the bleeding. In an instant, a strong smell of burning filled the air, and the woman fainted on the spot under this extreme pain. When she woke up the next day, the wound on her abdomen had basically healed. Then she put on a knife, picked up the sniper rifle on the ground, and walked out of the cave unswervingly. The next moment was her revenge. The woman first found the man who was alone. When she was not paying attention, the woman quietly switched to him and then beat him fiercely. In this way, the woman easily solved the first murderer. Then, she came to to the highest point and found the second target with a telescope. At this time, the man was driving a car and rushing towards this side at a very fast speed. After seeing clearly that she was alone, murderous intent filled the woman's face. Taking advantage of the rugged terrain, she quietly followed the man's car. When she got out of the car to check the situation, the woman hiding behind a rock quickly loaded the bullet, then raised the sniper rifle and aimed at the man's head. But just as she pulled the trigger, the muzzle of the gun tilted downwards due to the strong recoil, and the bullet hit the man's shoulder. At the same time, the woman was also pushed down by the strong recoil. When she stood up, the man had disappeared. She thought the man had hidden in the car, so she picked up the sniper rifle and walked over. At this time, she accidentally found the bloodstains left by the man when he escaped. She followed the bloodstains, but when she was halfway, the bloodstains on the road suddenly disappeared. The woman was a little panicked, not knowing that the man was hiding behind her. When she realized that something was wrong, it was too late. The man had already set up the sniper rifle and aimed at him. Fortunately, the bullet hit his ear. After a struggle, the woman stood up again. The man chased after her and fired several shots at the woman, but his shooting skills were too bad and he didn't hit her at all. The woman took the opportunity to smash the glass bottle, and the unsuspecting man stepped on it directly. The sharp fragments instantly pierced his feet. The man rolled on the road in pain, and the heart-wrenching pain made him lose his ability to fight instantly. He had no choice but to get back in the car, thinking about running the woman over. By then, the woman had already set up her sniper rifle and had been waiting in front for a long time. Say to her, "Okay, okay." The death of two of his best friends in succession had made the last scumbag feel deeply frightened. He was so frightened that he hurried back to his villa and decided to hide and wait for rescue. But he didn't know that the woman had been waiting here for a long time.